Who was Edgar Cayce, and why have I chosen to speak about Edgar Cayce today? Edgar Cayce happened to be a modern day Nostradamus. You all heard about Nostradamus and predictions. Well, Edgar Cayce would make certain predictions. He also had the ability to look into people's lives, and he believed that a lot of people were reincarnated, and he could talk to you about your previous life. And he was also a medical diagnostician. He's a very, very talented person. You may not have heard of him, but every one of his readings, they were called, were documented. And there were 14,000 documentations of different readings which he did. What he would do, he would go into he'd lie down, he'd go into a trance, and a voice, his voice of course, but probably a different entity would come forth, and he would then talk about his predictions. Edgar Cayce was born in 1877. He died in 1944. He lived on a farm. His early days were on a farm. He had a religious upbringing. He actually read the Bible, I believe, 12 times before he was 14 years of age. He was a very, very poor student. He didn't like spelling. He liked mathematics. He didn't like spelling. And he was very poor. And in those particular days, the parental method of motivating people or kids who were underperforming was this: a clip under the ear or a kick in the butt. And he received plenty of those because he just couldn't spell. He was no good at school. Then one evening, he was sleeping, and this is all documented. He saw an angel in his vision. And the angel said to him, "Put your spelling book under your pillow tomorrow night," which he did. The following day, he knew every word in that book. It had been transmuted through to his subconscious, and he could spell anything. And he soon learned that irrespective of what book he put under his pillow, that information would transform into his brain somehow, transmutation. So he learned everything, and everything was perfectly retained. He could repeat everything word for word. He could tell you what was on each page. He was quite incredible. Now, a lot of people, as time went on, came to him to ask for his predictions, and also for other information about medical matters. And at that particular early point in his career, people wanted to self-gain. So they'd come to Edgar Cayce and they'd say, "Hey, who's going to win the 4th at Randwick?" And he would give the answer. And they were always correct. And people made a lot of money. True story. What are the shares on X going to be in 2 or 3 days? He would tell them. And it was correct. However, he found that when he was giving information where people were benefiting financially, the next day he would get terribly sick. And soon after, his family started monitoring the requests for information, and they vetoed any questions which would result in self-gain for those particular people. Now, you're obviously wondering why I'm talking about Edgar Cayce and today. Edgar Cayce made certain predictions that are coming true today. And I'm going to go through a few of them for you because they're quite incredible. They're absolutely astounding. I'm not a believer, and I'm not trying to convince anyone here about his ability. He wrote incredible number of books. You can check it out for yourself. But some of the predictions, for example, he predicted in 2016 the breakup of the European Union. He predicted the Prime Minister of England would resign. He predicted there would be incredible internal turmoil in Europe, which is ongoing. It's happening. It's happening right now in Spain, in Greece, right through the entire European community. He predicted massive changes in Europe politically, economically and culturally, which, as you know, are occurring. He predicted that there would be trade wars between the United States and China and Germany. These haven't happened yet, but most of you who follow the reports would understand that this is actually taking place as we speak. The US have put in trade sanctions. He predicted, and this is quite incredible, that the US and Russia would become firm allies. And this is all happening now. These are some of his predictions. He predicted that Russia would actually become a beacon of light and the hope of the world. Can you believe that? Quite incredible. Others, he predicted that there will be World War III this year.
This year?
This year. He predicted that Japan would sink into the sea. He predicted that the lost city of Atlantis would be found this year. He predicted also that a city of gold would be found in the Gobi Desert. Quite extraordinary, but his track record is something which you really have to take on board and take notice of, because a lot of these have occurred. He predicted the First and Second World War. There's many others, but in the process at the moment, they're ongoing. Should we listen to people who have a track record when predicting the future? This is something that we all need to take on board and consider for ourselves. But I've told you these predictions, so be ready.